Hey guys, it's Nomad from Eternal Backlog. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you are doing well. We've had the Switch announcement. Can you believe it? Nintendo forced into action to doing a 2.5-minute reveal of their new console, but there is stuff that we can learn from that reveal, even if we have to wait until the 2nd of April in order to be able to find out the real chunk of the goods of what's actually going to be happening with the system. What we don't know at the moment is the full retail price. I have my own predictions on that. I think it could be $399 for a UK release, but we'll see. Could be even more expensive. But either way, we know everything's costing a lot more these days, so it's pretty understandable if it comes in quite a lot higher than the original Switch itself. What did we actually learn? Well, the magnetic Joy-Cons are confirmed 100%, but something new there that we didn't really know about, and that's the fact that the Joy-Cons have mouse functionality, which really opens up a whole new world of games that Nintendo could be putting on the system. It was the Super Nintendo where we last got a taste of a painting application, for instance. We could be seeing the Switch 2 getting us into our artistry, but it opens a whole new realm of games, especially on the strategy side of what we could be doing with those particular mouse controllers. Bigger screen. Some people were alluding that this could actually be more powerful than the Steam Deck OLED. I would be amazed personally if it is in handheld, but we're also hearing that the dock itself can up performance. So that's going to be hugely interesting. We've also got confirmation of a Mario Kart 9, and there was some stuff in that gives you a bit of an insight perhaps into where Mario Kart is going. We've not seen any of the secondary vehicles. Is Mario Kart returning back to form, going straight back to an old style kart racer? Could it possibly be a bit more open world? Some of these tracks that it showed, or the track, I say tracks, suggests from some screenshots that these could be larger tracks. Even a potential pit stop in one of the screens that we saw throughout the unveiling. Could there be much higher amounts of laps in races? We'll just have to find out. But either way, it's nice for Nintendo to finally come out and actually say that this thing exists. We already knew because a whole ton of the stuff got leaked. And I'm excited for it, although it's just the weirdest unveiling ever. They were forced into this. There's no doubt about that. But I'm excited. I just wish they would come out a little bit early. You know, it's what a time for Nintendo to come out right now, whilst nothing else is really happening, to come out with a 20-30 minute piece about this console, but they've decided not to. Maybe they're still making final preparations of what is going to be the launch slate for the Switch 2 itself. What we do know is that this is perfect for people, and Ubisoft was very, very happy about the fact that this machine is going to potentially open up a whole new slate for them to resell games that have already come out in the past. It's something distinctly possible. But I think we could be looking at the golden age for physical here. I think that the Switch 2 is going to be the last games console for physical collectors where they're really going to enjoy collecting a huge slate. And if you look at the power or the purported power specs, we can see a huge library for the Switch 2, giving the best opportunity to play games on PS4 slate that you perhaps missed from a third-party perspective, and all of the first-party preparations that Nintendo will do. And no doubt there'll be options for some games that are bridging release onto Switch 2, like Donkey Kong Country. The remake of that will probably find its way onto Switch 2 also. Bigger screen, much needed. Battery life, we don't know the answers of what's going to happen with that. I really hope that they can, sort that element out. Much to be said about that side of things. And then, of course, the Switch 2 compatibility. They've confirmed The physical carts from the Switch will work, but they've put a big caveat that some Nintendo Switch games will not be compatible. So it feels to me like they're very much doing this authentication card side in some respects, potentially, with some type of patch. It's been about 10 years, you're looking at almost a decade, that the new chip architecture, you're going to find some compatibility problems that are going to happen. So there's going to be some type of emulation involved. How many of those games are going to transfer over perfectly? We don't know at the moment. Nintendo said they're going to give us more information about that in the future. I'd be surprised if, for instance, that the Nintendo Labo games work, for instance. We could see some issues for party side. But a word on that, by the way, depending on the slate of compatibility, games that aren't compatible on the Switch 2, for those that collect, take a keen eye on this, because I will guarantee you that games that are not compatible for Switch 2, that were on the original Switch, you're going to see the price of those games rise, providing they're not shovelware. You're going to see the price of those games go up in price. Because there'll be an added scarcity to it in terms of being able to get your hands on them, potentially. So, yeah, it looks interesting. I have my own reservations still about these magnetic controllers. Not so much about whether you're going to experience any problems of them falling apart whilst playing in handheld, but more the connector, as you've been able to have seen on screen. The connector is going to be a seriously interesting part of this. How much wear and tear has this thing got? If Nintendo consoles, which they are mainly marketed towards children, how much wear and tear can this sustain when you've got that little nodule, like a giant version of a lightning connector, it can put up with, wear and tear and, just basically not looking after the device. I'd be interested to see what happens there. Then there is no word on how they've decided to do their analog controllers. Are they going to address the stick drift, which was a huge problem with the original Switch? If it wasn't bad enough with the later editions of the Xbox controllers, the Switch really was the console that had stick drift problems worse than anyone else. I really hope that they've gone back to the older style controllers that never had this issue by putting decent components in there, but that remains to be seen. But come on, can April, I don't want to wish away my own life, but I wish Nintendo would just hurry up. Tell us more about this device. Tell us more about what you're going to do with these, mouse style controls as well, because Nintendo love a gimmick. And look, sometimes a gimmick turns into absolute gold. We all remember the days of the original Wii and Wii Sports and Wii Play and some really nice ways to play, but they've given it to you in all forms. And I'm actually excited again about the accelerometer controls of what the Switch 2 can do, because they were a little bit limited on the original Switch because of the size of these controllers. They're going to be bigger because of the bigger screen. The actual controllers are going to be bigger themselves, and I wonder if we'll get back some of that one-to-one accuracy that the earlier Wii controllers used to have, for them to play around with some of that. I'm not saying it's a Switch-all type situation that you're going to want to play your games this way, but there are some things that could work really well for it. And I thought the Switch version of what they call it, Switch Sports, or I can't remember, they did an updated version of Wii Sports on the Switch, and it was pretty rubbish, to say the least. So I'm really hoping that they, if they're going to play around with this accelerometer stuff, that they do it well. So yeah, all we can do now really is pretty much wait and see what the official announcement suggests, and look forward to some new hardware coming later this year. They clearly don't care about GTA 6 arriving later this year. Not that we'll probably see GTA 6 on the device, although it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest with you, if we get a collection of the earlier GTA games finding their way onto Switch 2, given the upgrade in performance and power But who knows? Maybe there will be more, adult-centric games on this platform because it's got the ability to now support these games a lot better. Only time will tell. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. Let us know what you think, by the way. Did you enjoy the announcement? It wasn't really a full announcement, was it? I mean, I was left wanting more, But hopefully there'll be some interesting little nugs and Easter eggs that we'll get. But I think we'll see a Mario Kart 9, which they pretty much confirmed that on the launch slate. Whether we'll get the new Metroid on launch is another question entirely. But I've said this several times on the podcast. Give me another F-Zero game. Give me another Wave Race game. And I will be very, very happy indeed. And I will be buying that day one if that is the case. But that is a question for me. Will I be picking this thing up day one? Well, it really depends on that launch slate of games. And I hope that there is more first-party offerings than third-party on launch. But the likelihood of that is pretty small. But we'll see. I just love to see some more exclusive stuff that you just can't get anywhere else, forming the part of that launch slate. Anyway, keen to hear what your thoughts are, and keep tuned because we're properly back from next week with the Xbox Direct, and I can't wait for the next podcast because Shady Armick has got interesting updates. Not only does he have a PS5 Pro now, he's been playing around with live streaming. I don't want to spoil it for you, but we've been having teeterings on previous podcast episodes that he may be changing primary console because of everything that's been happening with Xbox. You won't want to miss the next podcast episode, and part of me is thinking maybe we'll get you completely updated from the last podcast to now of all of the stories, apart from the Switch stuff, that have emanated, because there's been a ton of news at the beginning of this year. Some of the stuff I really want to talk about. I really want to talk about this whole Elon Musk Asmongold thing. Just unbelievable what happened there. But I'm going to save that for the podcast itself. But either way, we're properly back next week. Totally looking forward to it. We'll see if we've got a podcast happening on that same week. I'm not 100% sure yet. But we'll definitely have the developer direct reaction videos coming. And we might start playing a little bit more around with longer form content because we threw out hundreds of videos last year. And let's just say we need to be growing a little bit quicker here on the Eternal Backlog podcast channel. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.